Hello, Miss Gray.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Got you a little treat for
Oh, thank
surviving your
you.
first Halloween teaching.
Yes.
Now, tomorrow will be the test when they're sugared up or they bring a whole bag of candy with them.
Oh, goodness.
Yes,
We'll take it an hour at a time.
that's all we can
We'll
do.
see.
So, is there anything that you would like to talk about or anything you want to discuss before we get started? Any victories? And
A little bit better. And I was going one at a time. It's a little bit time consuming at first, but then once we got into it, it's even better than me having to explain into detail. Okay, you grab this one, you grab this one. They grabbed one card one at a time. Once I saw they grabbed the instrument, it just kept going, work
Good.
like clockwork. So that was fine.
Awesome. We will take those praises. Now, we discussed as your goal for adding in some cooperative learning, so the kids could work together. So I got you this little booklet, and you want to look through it. Basically, it is checklist of things that you need to consider, whether you're grouping them, whether you are doing partners. And so checklists are very important because it really is an easy way to just make sure that you have defined expectations. What do you really want out of this? Also, there are some checklists for different cooperative in there. So turn to your neighbor, or some people call them shoulder buddies. Then think, pair, and share. And then fan and pick. And four corners, I thought were some good ones that you could use, and I'll be more than glad to explain or model any of those that you think you would be interested in that maybe you don't understand.
Even I've seen in first grade, even when we play a little game saying, turn to your neighbor and tell them one favorite ice cream flavor you have, something
Right.
like that. But with the concept that they're learning, it really helps.
Some of the research that I did to try to make sure that it was appropriate for your class, I did read on Think, Pair, and Share, where while the music was playing, they would move, and when the music stopped, whoever their partner next to them was, that's who they would share with. So I thought that was interesting that you didn't always go to your bestie
Yes.
or to
Absolutely.
something. Fan and pick was also one I thought you might could use if you're discussing anything in music or definitions. You would have a group fan it out. They would pick a question, read it, discuss it, answer it, and of course they would, fan out some more, pick some more. So thought that would be neat just to, if you wanted to learn about the students being their first year, what their interests are they understanding the vocabulary that you're teaching for that lesson? And that's very similar to Four Corners. You would, if you like this instrument, percussions, whatever, was it woodwinds? It's, not music. Oh, in that way, or whatever you choose to put. But I thought those would be very interesting for you to use and very beneficial. And I know there are a lot that do groups as well, so that you would have a group. I'm not sure if you would find it beneficial for music, but you would have one person would be the recorder at the time, one person would be like the secretary taking notes.
Ooh, yeah.
Or writing down, maybe if they had to create their own rap, or one person would be the producer, or whatever you decide, and they would all wear different hats, but they would still work as a team. And then the timer, that person will be in charge of however many minutes you thought, and then y'all would regroup, see where they're at, then they could share. So,
Never thought about that.
yeah, so I just tried to look up some different cooperative learning and come up with checklists.
Yes.
So that way, you can see how much time you want to put into it, how you want to utilize that time. And of course, any of the checklists, you definitely can tweak, modify. Some groups You could do one, the different class, they just might not be able to work well together in that one, so you might need to come with this one. So definitely just tweak any of them that you feel necessary to tweak. And then, like I said, and then one more that was in here was Jigsaw, and that was basically a group activity. And you would, you could write down numbers and they would pull numbers or colors, and then that's how they would break up in groups. And then if you had each group, let's say playing an instrument or whatever, once you hear, you might could then regroup them by, okay, his level is higher, so let's put these together. You're fitting puzzles of how you can fit the jigsaw together, and all right, these groups need to work a little bit more on that sound, where these have it down, and let's see how they would sound together.
Yes.
So,
kind of like a mentor goal here.
Yes.
And then it becoming a one group.
Yes.
So they help each other. It's a great idea.
So I tried to, think about different areas.
The one I have done before is Four Corners. We did Whisper, Talk, Shout, and Sing with kindergarten.
Okay.
And so learning between those different voices, that's something they learn in music class a lot of times. They learn a lot of motor skills also in music class. I'm sure you've seen that. And you teach a lot of that as well.
Yes.
But when it comes to Whisper, Talk, Shout, and Sing, I had pictures of whispering, talking, shouting, and singing, something that they can recognize. And because they're so young, a lot of them cannot read. So whenever I showed, I had this cool page up that had different examples of whispering, talking, shouting, and singing. If they thought they knew one, they'd go to one of the different corners. It worked very well, and that was so cool. One thing that was good about differentiating these is because in some you may have students who follow the crowd. You may have students who, so that was good for a group assessment, definitely a group assessment, especially the formative. So that is awesome.
Excellent. So, and we talked about your checklist, modifying as needed. And then, of course, if you need me to model, and I try to describe and, model, but a lot of them you are aware of. Some teachers will go in and model in front of the class. My concern with that is, I don't want to take away from your class, and I don't want them to be like, what is Coach Arena doing in here? Or I'm not as aware and knowledgeable in that content area as you are. So anything that, needs more modeling, then I'll be more than glad to. But I think it'll be, like we just did, do your fan, pick one, or your four corners, which you said you use. And then I did really like the Think, Pair, and Share with Music.
That is a great idea. I haven't thought about that.
Because I do know that they most likely will go to the same person every time and never talk to new people or other people. And then turn to your neighbor, of course, shoulder buddy, some people call it, or whatever. So, so now that we have this, and of course, this is your copy, and what time do you think you would need to implement or practice these? So now we're on the learn. We identified our goal in our first video, where we are incorporating more cooperative learning. And then now we're going to learn and take these goals and implement them into your class time. So when do you think it will be a good time to practice this implementation?
I believe next week would be a good time to practice this. I'm in the midst of lesson planning, and this would be great to implement maybe a couple of these into each class, especially that formative assessment and the cooperative learning. That'd be wonderful. So I guess this next week, I would love to use this, especially with my fifth grades, just because my fifth graders, a lot of times it's you have to reach them and find them at their level, meet them at their level, especially because they're in that middle age. So this would be wonderful to differentiate their learning and the cooperative learning especially, and to help them out as much as possible so they can understand a concept and feel included as well.
Yes, and social skills. At
Very
that age,
big.
like you said, they're going through hormonal changes.
Lots, yes.
And I would definitely suggest if you did the fan and pick,
Yes.
laminate. They're very good in the media center about getting it to turn over for you.
Okay.
That way it can last a while for you, and they're not, hopefully not getting torn up and all that.
That'd be a wonderful idea. I did not think about that.
But
I can do
yes.
that for sure.
So, but I'm excited to see what you think, and I'm excited to improve that movement that you wanted, and more of them explaining, more of them working, and you know, just sitting back and helping where is needed.
Absolutely.
Do you have any more questions? Dr. Smith actually told me the other day that he was very impressed with you as a new teacher and all that you have come into. And so we did say we are impressed as well.
Well, thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.